Hello, and welcome back to our 5-minute dive series of Proteins Unfolded, the podcast where we explore the extraordinary world of proteins and how they shape life as we know it. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Emilio.
And we are researchers at the Human Protein Atlas based at SciLifeLab. Today, we are talking about one of the largest and most accessible sources of information in our bodies: blood.
Specifically, we're answering the question, why do we analyze blood?
While we are used to hearing that blood is mostly water, it also contains a huge number of molecules that can tell us about what's happening in our bodies. In terms of its explanatory potential, blood has the advantage that it circulates through every organ, carrying nutrients and oxygen to our cells, and transporting waste products. As a delivery and communication system, it contains proteins, metabolites, hormones, and even fragments of DNA and RNA, all of which can tell us a story about our health. Drawing blood and analyzing it can provide a kind of instant photo of our body, something we had touched on during our first episode.
In fact, blood has a huge advantage. Unlike solid tissue biopsies, which usually require invasive procedures, blood can provide a virtually non-invasive window into your internal state. This is one of the reasons blood analysis have always been central to medicine. For most of history of blood analysis, these were often focused on counting cells or looking at coagulation procedures. But in recent years, advances in molecular biology have completely transformed how we study it.
A perfect example of this is the emergence of liquid biopsies. Liquid biopsies use blood to detect tiny traces of abnormal DNA, RNA, proteins, or other molecules that are released by diseased cells. The classic example is the so-called circulating tumor DNA, which is DNA released by cancer cells into the bloodstream. However, the potential of liquid biopsies to be used for other diseases continues to increase. The relative ease with which liquid biopsies are obtained allows us to monitor diseases in real time more easily and with very low risk for the patient, whether it's tracking their progression, detecting early signs, or even predicting how a patient might respond to treatment.
For this reason, they are now being used in everything from prenatal testing to organ transplant monitoring. Another advantage is that by being less technically demanding, they tend to be more cost-effective than solid tissue biopsies. Plus, since the blood travels across the body, they let us sample what's happening in the whole system, not just one location.
And we can't talk about the future of blood analysis without addressing microsampling. With us today is Jochen Schwenk, one of the principal investigators at the Human Protein Atlas and a professor of Translational Proteomics at KTH Royal Institute of Technology. Jochen, could you tell us what exactly is microsampling and why it's such an exciting development?
Hey guys, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me. Yes, sure. So microsampling is exactly what it sounds like. It's a collection of very small amounts of blood, often just a few microliters, instead of the traditional vials. Advances in technology now allow us to get detailed insights from just one drop of blood. Think about a finger prick sample or dried blood spot that can be used at home. Why is this important? Well, for one, it makes testing far more accessible. Instead of visiting a clinic, people can collect their own samples even in remote areas. It's less intimidating for patients, and it's ideal for populations like children or people who need frequent testing. Imagine managing a chronic condition with just a few drops of blood instead of multiple trips to the hospital. This can also reduce the burden of the healthcare system.
So, could microsampling be the future?
Well, I certainly believe so. It's already starting to shift how we think about diagnostics. Combined with data-rich potential of modern proteomics and genomics, microsampling could allow for earlier detection and more frequent monitoring of diseases, personalized treatment, and even large-scale studies of population health. We're still refining the technology, but the potential is huge. The best part of it? By reducing the barriers to testing, we're bringing medical devices closer to people's everyday lives. This could fundamentally change public health and make it easier to catch diseases before they become life-threatening.
Thank you, Jochen.
Thanks for having me.
So, what do you guys think? Why do we analyze blood? In more practical terms for the patient, because it's not just a fluid. It's a goldmine of information that can reveal important aspects of your present and even future health. And with innovations like liquid biopsies and microsampling, we're learning to unlock its secrets in ways we couldn't have imagined just 20 years ago.
If you want to learn more about the latest blood analysis methods and their applications, check out the Human Protein Atlas's websites for more resources.
Thanks for tuning in to Proteins Unfolded. If you found today's episode interesting, share it with somebody who's curious about the future of medicine or who enjoys a good science story. And as always, send us your questions or ideas for future episodes.
See you next time.